Cannot be ruled out. We're especially keeping an eye on the 95 corridor. You can see the cold front coming through the area of Lake Erie. For now, all is quiet from New York City down towards D.C. We see some rain out there across portions of southern New Hampshire, not far from Manchester, into the coast of Maine, and a couple of showers getting going a little early here in eastern Indiana and western Ohio. Dew points are in the 60s. I see a 70 there in D.C. So the higher the number, when you're looking at this scale, this map, the more humidity is in the air. So basically, we've got all that moisture that's going to lead to showers and storms that could turn severe later on tonight. So we're talking about you guys in the Capital District, the Berkshires, the Litchfield Hills, all the way down to Times Square in New York. You've got storms that could turn severe from Philly down towards Baltimore in D.C. And we've got baseball games that are happening today with the Yankees at home, Red Sox at home. Will the weather kind of bring out the tarps? We will see. But as you can see, 11, 12 o'clock, we already start to see the energy and the instability increasing over the interior sections of the Northeast. You're still fine out toward the Hamptons and up toward the Connecticut River Valley. But as we get into the afternoon, this is when we see some of the bigger storms erupting, like around Schenectady, New York, right on down towards Happy Valley, State College, Scranton by 8 o'clock this evening. Sun goes down not too far after 8:30. And then right about that time, there will be some thunderstorms out there in D.C. and then even more wet weather coming through late tonight around the midnight hour. So severe storms will basically pick up where we leave off for your Sunday. You've got the red on the map stretching from Baltimore all the way down to Richmond, Virginia. I-81 involved as well around Stanton. I know you got the opening of the Buc-ee's there not far from Stanton, Virginia going on this week. And you can see the showers and storms that will be developing as we go into the afternoon tomorrow. Big storms erupting by the evening time frame. Look at the ones around Norfolk getting down towards Virginia Beach. So when thunder roars, get indoors. Lots of lightning, very heavy rain that could lead to some flooding in many of these areas, and that includes Pittsburgh, Reynolds.
Wow, yeah, a chance to storm
across this part of the country. So as you can see, the ingredients coming together as we start off tomorrow, Sunday. You've got all that humidity, and then eventually the system will slide to the east, and that will involve even more of us moving into the Northeast in the coming days. So the winds are very strong aloft. We've got the warm front, cold front combination. In between the two is where you have the most instability or energy feeding into these storms that could be severe, possibly knock the lights out for a little while. You can see that front eventually heading toward the Northeast and the 95 corridor as we go into Monday and Tuesday. But there will be some drier air coming in behind this cold front. You can open up the windows in parts of Minnesota, northern Wisconsin with the lower humidity, and it's just going to feel great. Right now, your dew points are rather muggy. Minneapolis 62, even muggier though as you head down toward the Arch in St. Louis with a dew point of 70. So a very humid atmosphere, and that will lead to some of those downpours that we're expecting. As you can see, the dew points basically in the 60s and 70s for a few days actually. So now we're going into Monday, Tuesday time frame. There are your dew points ranging from the upper 60s to low 70s, even in places like New York City, down towards Washington, D.C. So when we're looking at the dew point scale, you're going to hear a lot about dew points this summer season. When they're up in the 70s, it is a very stifling feel to the air. It's basically air you can wear. When it's muggy, we've got the dew points in the 60s. But anything less than 55, that's what you want this time of year especially. You get a nice break from the humidity and you don't need the AC as much. Up to an inch of rain is expected here from the Great Lakes into the Northeast. Again, some of these storms, though, could pack a punch, so be mindful of that. You see the storms erupting around Kansas City, St. Louis to start off our Monday, and then the showers and storms fill in across the rest of the Ohio Valley. Into the Northeast we go for 6 a.m. Tuesday, and also into Tuesday afternoon right along the 95 corridor, and Tuesday night looks pretty stormy as well for the Northeast. Indianapolis, pretty good day tomorrow, although hot, 87 degrees, and then we bring the storms in as we go from Monday into Monday night. Well, the family of a 76-year-old Florida woman is counting their blessings after a tornado picked up the woman's mobile home on its side and then dropped it back down while she was still inside. WTSP in Tampa has more on this miraculous story. Andrea, well to the east of Bermuda. This one, a little closer to home, but not expected to affect us here at home. It's expected to go into Mexico. On the other side of Central America, we've got an invest area in the Eastern Pacific as well. But let's focus in on Invest 91L. 40% chance of this developing into our next depression or storm, says the hurricane hunters. And again, those hunters will be flying on in to see what exactly is going on near the surface. We do have the lack of strong winds aloft, so it does have a window of opportunity to maybe get its act together as we go through the next couple of days, but then eventually sliding into Mexico. And regardless if it gets a name or not, it is going to produce some very heavy tropical downpours. In fact, the European model wants to give anywhere from 8 to 12 inches of rain. That could lead to flash flooding. The American model, not as much, but still widespread 3 to 5, with a few areas seeing as much as 5 to 8 inches. So this time of year, as we go from June into July, we really need to pay attention to storms that could develop in the far central and even the eastern Atlantic basin as we move into July. Notice a lot of dots, though. The Gulf of Mexico off the southeast coast. So that's why it's so important to be prepared and do it now before the rush at the store, right, until you have a named storm that's bearing down. By the way, the next name on the list is going to be Barry, Chantal after that, Dexter on the list. Of course, that replaces Dorian, that was basically retired back in 2019. Hurricane season peaks in the middle of September. We've got a ways to go. Of course, the season goes all the way through the end of November, but you can have a storm happen very, very quickly. And the East Pack, this is where we've had all the action. We're already going on Flossie, perhaps, 90% chance that this does get the next name on the list. Eric was a devastating major hurricane when it made landfall in Mexico over a week ago, and you can see the list of names here on the eastern Pacific side. Reynolds? That for the showers and the thunderstorms, and even cooler than average temperatures. We saw highs in the low 70s yesterday. Today we're starting off in the 60s along the 95 corridor. We do see some warmer air back across the Ohio Valley, and we're going to be focused on that cold front later on today. That could spark off some showers and storms that could turn severe. It's already a muggy start to the day, pushing 70 for a dew point in Cincinnati. So that is air you can wear. You step outside. It feels very humid, very muggy out there. And that will allow some of these storms to perhaps get strong or severe. Anywhere from the Finger Lakes region, the Mohawk Valley, through the Berkshires, down towards Philly, Washington, D.C. If you're heading out to the mall, duck into those museums, not just from the heat and humidity, but the storms that could erupt later on this afternoon. Here they come into Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. You've got State College working their way towards Philly as we head towards 5 o'clock this afternoon. Binghamton, you got Horseheads, Elmira, Albany, New York, over towards Rensselaer County, looking at those storms 10 o'clock tonight. And again, some of these storms could contain some gusty winds that could knock out your power for a little while. There's your severe chances for tomorrow with your Orioles at home in Baltimore. Could have some rain or storm delays depending on when the storms show up. It is an afternoon game, but we will see that energy building up throughout the day. And there come the storms, more widespread, more numerous, certainly, as we head toward the evening time frame. Reynolds?
More numerous is right.
All your ride, maybe even cause some delays or cancellations at the airport. So definitely check ahead. Airports like Minneapolis, where we've got green on the map for now, we could see delays later on today. And you can see some of these other airports that may be impacted by the weather, including the Mid-Atlantic, the Northeast, even Atlanta. We had some significant delays and even cancellations yesterday due to those very strong storms. Severe weather will be a possibility today for the Northeast as well as the northern plains. There's Minneapolis right in that red zone, Reynolds, where we could see strong winds, and we can't rule out tornadoes.
We go from that
tropics, they can happen rapidly as well, especially close to home, the Gulf of Mexico off the southeast coast. That's where we look for development this time of the year. And wouldn't you know it, we do have an invest area in the way southern Gulf of Mexico in the Bay of Campeche. We also have an invest area on the other side in the eastern Pacific. Let's begin there. We do have this invest area under investigation for possible development by the Hurricane Center, which says 70% over the next couple of days, 90% in the next 7. You can see the next name on the list already up to Flossie. Remember, Eric was actually a major hurricane that did some damage when it made landfall east of Acapulco. That was more than a week ago. On to the Atlantic side, we do have this area that we are watching in the southern Gulf of Mexico, 50% chance. That's the latest update from the Hurricane Center on 91L. Hurricane hunters are forecast to go out into the storm and investigate the atmosphere that we do see full of tropical moisture. You can see the shades of red there. Not so much in terms of high wind aloft. We call that wind shear. You can see the blues and purples well off to the east. So really that's not going to be an inhibiting factor. However, it is pretty close to land. So even if it does develop, it is not going to live long, and it is expected. All the models have it going into Mexico, causing torrential downpours. In fact, the European model wants to give as much as 8 to 12 inches of rain. That could cause some dangerous flash flooding. The American model, maybe not as much, but still a widespread 3 to 5 5, with some areas seeing as much as 5 to 8 inches. Reynolds?
Okay.